So follow up the theme, the people, start from Allison and end up with Himadri. I will ask Don to help me to thank the pioneers, the ones we call the EMSL founders in the next section. Of course, Don has been here involved in EMSL in many significant ways since 1985. So I think he has the honor to recognize and acknowledge and thank you for these founders.
Thank you. It is true, and you've heard in many ways, and I want to emphasize it, we're recognizing people, and there are literally hundreds of EMSL and P&L staff members that have been involved in the success of EMSL, and thousands of users. And so I'm not going to list over many days all of them by name. But to say here, EMSL is people, and you've heard that in many ways already. It's people with vision, dedication, and passion. We had somebody that came as a visiting Wiley Fellow. You're not hearing this, or? Okay, he was saying something up there. Oh, my badge. He wants my badge off. Too visible. Okay. It's a vision that's important, starting with the vision of Bill Wiley, as Allison described, for the nature of this lab. They're the people that made it happen by founding and lots of heavy hard work. There's the hundreds of people that have kept the facility running, kept it financially afloat, clean, built new capabilities, worked with users directly or indirectly. We've actually had hundreds of people on advisory and review committees who've been very much involved. Our sponsors and the managers who help pay the bills are absolutely critical, and then the thousands of users. Now, you've heard the term pioneers. Basically, because it's 20 years, that means that many of us have aged over that time. And I wanted to recognize, and we have these signs for people that have been involved in the founding and up through the first year or two of operation. Those are what we defined as the pioneers. So we encourage you to put a sticker on to identify yourself. And I want to talk about some of those briefly. And there's some people that couldn't be here, and I think they sent some quotes that emphasize this. One is Steve Colson. He said he couldn't be here, which he regretted. He said that this was the most challenging and rewarding experience of his scientific career being at EMSL. And this was very important. It attracted some of the best talent in the world. Their professionalism of the staff and management made it work to successes that are recognized around the world. So again, it's people. Gordon Brown, who's been a user and on our advising committee, said, we'll be thinking of you on your celebration. We can't be there. It is the great team of EMSL scientists, both past and present, that have enabled EMSL to have the success that it has. I said they could come because of the funding and the mission, and many people did come because the environmental was a very important mission. I want to walk through parts of the timeline that couldn't fit on the timeline out there. There's a lot of stuff out there, and this stuff was too detailed. But the concept came together in 1986. Li Yuan mentioned that I was involved in 1985. Bill Glass, who was the chief scientist at the lab at that time, invited me to his office, said, if we have a new lab, what would you like in it? The concept of EMSL and MSRC hadn't quite formed yet, but they were thinking about it. Adrian Roberts, who was going to be here, is Adrian here? Was the project manager and the interim director. Ray Stoltz was the science program director. Charlie Duke came a little later from Xerox to basically oversee the initial portfolio. The first advisory panel was formed. Then the name changed to EMSL, and it moved from basically the chemistry part of BES to EM, eventually moving to ER in the process that John described a little bit. And then Charlie left and Mike Notek came, and then Steve Colson and Tom Dunning were hired. So those were the first two ADs. So this is a very some of the people that were really doing a lot of the heavy lifting, as we call it, to make EMSL happen. Then there was a major review, actually a couple in 1990, that said that this would be doing great science and it would help with remedial actions, which John described. Based on that review, the lab management got the courage to start growing the staff in the scientific program. And at that point, I can't name them anymore because there was just too many. But in 1993, after 15 reviews and 20 technical workshops, DOE said, go ahead. And this is a picture of the celebration. It included Bill, it included Mike Notek and Ray Stoltz, Jim McCluskey, who was became the project engineer. I don't know if Jim was in town and was able to come. The EMSL ADs, which were several more at that time. And so that was the celebration that said we can go ahead and build. Tom Dunning was, construction was started. Tom Dunning became the first official director. And the lab was dedicated with the building mostly done in 96, and then it opened in 97. So that is the short history and some of the people, but the people hired in the staffing grow up had become lab fellows, have become lab managers, have gone to other places to very successful careers. These are some of the alumni and really emphasize the statement that I think Steve Coulson made about the quality of people that were hired. But we don't want to neglect the fact that there was project managers, there were financial people that kept us out of trouble most of the time. There was administrators that really kept things going in spite of the fact that some of us wanted to do other things. Many, many people were responsible for that success, and that types of thing are listed here. And then I want to just go through, and I left my sheet of paper over here, that I mentioned already Adrian Roberts, who is sitting in the back, who is the first director. Adrian, your hand. Okay. We also have all four, may not still be in here, Allison is still, all four of the previous EMSL directors, starting with Tom Dunning, Gene Futrell, who you've heard from, Bill Rogers, and Allison Campbell. I mentioned Jim McCluskey as the sort of overall project manager that made things happen, and actually he was basically hired to get a ship shake and did a great job at that. Jim Bixler led the finance team, and that was critically important. Important people with facilities and engineering were Dale Flowers and Dave Braun. I don't know if Dale is here. I know Dave is not. Tom Thomas, who is here, did many things, but became the first operation manager. And we named a postdoctoral award after him when he retired. Now, it'll tell you how long ago he retired because we just awarded the 21st. And that will be given in the fall. Dale Knudsen and Larry Maples were responsible for moving lots of things forward. There's some interesting stories I could tell you about them as well. The first set of associate directors were Tom Dunning and Steve Coulson, but Art Janata, Bruce Bunker, John Zakra, Paul Ellis, Dave Dixon soon followed on that. And John Neath and many others from DOE locally helped move things along well. It was really a partnership. So those are all the names I want to give individually, but I also want to say that there's the project management team, administrators, and facilities people. Now, if there's any of them in the room that were involved before 1999, I won't make you stand up, but please raise your hand. Hopefully some of them will be here. Looks like a shy hand or two went up. There was many scientists hired that came on board before 1997. The publication rate of PNNL took a jump of almost a factor of 2 during that time. So if you were a scientist here before the official opening of EMSL, please raise your hand. A few, yes, less shy people. And I don't know if there's anybody from either DOE at headquarters or local before 1999, that Paul, I think you were involved at that time. And so I want to do one other thing and quickly go through. In 1999, there were 5, if I can count, 6 divisions of EMSL. There was the Chemical Structure and Dynamics with Steve Coulson as the Associate Director with 22 staff members. Computing and Information Scientist with Ray Baer as the Associate Director with 37 staff members. Environmental Dynamics and Simulation with John Zakra as the Associate Director with 20 staff members. Interfacial Processing Sciences with Bill Rogers as the Associate Director with 46 staff members. Molecular Structure Dynamics with Dave Copenal as the Associate Director with 25. And Theory Modeling and Simulation with Dave Dixon as the Associate Director with 31. And that totals with administrative and people up to about 200 people that were really staff associated with EMSL at that time. And I'm going to ask if there's anybody that I left out in this long list that was a pioneer. Please raise your hand and yell at me at what area I missed. Okay, well, I want to thank all of those pioneers who were here and those who are not here for that effort, and turn the program back to Liu Yuan.